Hey, Paul Morrow again, Smart Financial. If you are one of the persons that have just been laid off, what next? There's a huge amount of layoffs going on right now. You know that they're trying to shrink government employees. They're trying to cut back on certain companies. So there's a massive amount of people being laid off. Now, I will tell you, a lot of people call this right sizing, downsizing. It looks like capsizing to me. So if you've been capsized out of your job, there's eight things that I want you to pay attention to. We'll talk about them today. Laid off, now what? Let's just talk about them. By the way, first and foremost, I will tell you that a lot of people get laid off. It's not like being fired. This doesn't mean you did anything wrong. You might have done something wrong, or you might have not done something and got fired. That's different. Laid off is simply a financial technique corporations and governments use to cut their budget down. Sometimes they like to lower payroll so they look good on paper. It's better for stock price. Right now, what's going on in the U.S. government is they're trying to lower the budget so they can hopefully make a lot of cuts, pass a new tax bill that largely benefits the most affluent people in America. That's just the facts. That's what it is. I don't know if they're going to be successful or not, but right now there are projected to be 73 million jobs eliminated by 2030. That's the goal. You ready? 73 million jobs are going to be eliminated between now and 2030 over the next few years. That's a lot of jobs being eliminated. So let's talk about it. Specifically, this is about being laid off from your job before age 59 and a half, before any traditional retirement funds are accessible to you. So let's run through them. There's a bunch of things that you should do like right away, okay? First and foremost, of course, is COBRA. COBRA is your federal government's ability to continue your health care for 18 months and stay on your employer's plan. It's called COBRA, C-O-B-R-A. It means that if you have medical insurance through your employer and he lays you off, you have the right to stay on that plan and pay the cost of it at his rate, plus a little bit, for 18 months. Now, it's not normally everybody's first choice in life. However, if you have a family and you need to have health coverage, COBRA can be your stopgap while you're job shopping, because that's the second thing you're going to do, is you're going to go to unemployment. So number one is make sure from your employer that you have the forms to go on COBRA. Number two, file for unemployment. Now, this is a really tense issue, unemployment these days, because some companies are paying a thing called severance. So the third part of this is if you get a severance package. What does that mean? That means that, okay, they say we're going to pay for 3 months or 4 months or something like that. Okay, you're not working, we don't want you, but we're going to phase you out. A lot of companies who pay severance do not allow you to go on unemployment. So you need to make sure of your unemployment rights. Now, I will tell you how this works. If you go to unemployment and you file for unemployment to get those dollars to come in for the next 6 months, it can be rejected by your employer. That means they got a little form. As an employer, I've gotten these over the years. Somebody files for employment. I sign off and say, yes, they can get it, or no, they can't. Why? Because it costs the employer money if you claim for unemployment. So number one is COBRA. Number two, you're going to file for unemployment. And number three, you're going to read your severance package. If you got a severance package, you should look at it, understand what your rights are. If you're getting money in severance, it's super important for you to know, number one, if you can claim unemployment, and number two, whether any of those dollars can be deferred to your current 401k plan. Now, I will tell you, 401ks are a great savings program. It's designed to put money away for retirement. It's pre-tax, and that becomes valuable if you're in a high tax bracket. One of the things I want you to do, right, that's important if you're laid off, is put a phone call into your accountant, your CPA, your tax advisor, or figure it out yourself if you're an online TurboTax person, and look at your tax bracket in reality. If you're only going to have 6 months of income in 2025 because you got laid off, you might have a much lower tax bracket than you would have with a full year's income. Now, remember, you need to withhold taxes from unemployment, otherwise you're going to get a big surprise next April. So, withhold taxes, but maybe you don't have to withhold 25%. If you're going to have a low income year, you might only withhold 15%. So pay attention to taxes. That's one of the big things in this list. So we're talking about health insurance, COBRA. We're talking about severance, number two. We're talking about unemployment. We're talking about talk to your tax person, okay? Now let's talk about your 401k plan. So your 401k plan with your former employer was a good thing. You were saving money while you're there. The day that you become an ex-employee, a terminated employee, a laid off employee, a retired employee, you're like a second-class citizen. You lose a lot of rights in your 401k plan, right? You lose the right to make contributions, you lose the right to make loans, right? So normally you do not leave your 401k at a former employer unless there's some extreme reason. People used to do it because employer plans had less fees than outside plans. That's totally BS these days, right? You can get super low cost investments outside of your employer plan too, right? And many times you can duplicate the plan that you had at your former employer. What you do is you roll for control. You roll that 401k over to yourself as an IRA rollover. It's a tax-free transaction. Nowadays, it's usually paperless. It's a phone call. Sometimes it's paper. And you say, I want my 401k with ABC Company to become Paul's IRA. That's about it. It's as simple as it can be. And you establish yourself or with your advisor a rollover IRA account. Super simple. You take control of your money. You can buy everything in the universe that you want, right? And basically, it becomes your plan, and it's not under the rules and regulation of your employer, or excuse me, your ex-employer anymore. So, roll from control, very important. However, this is important, and I know with young people, it's going to be a big deal. Don't automatically think you need to take that money out and put it in your pocket and use it to live on. You're going to pay taxes and penalties, okay? So this is like the number 7 thing. Cash flow in laid off periods is very critical. I understand it. A lot of people go through it. Don't take money out of your 401k as your first act. In fact, it might be your last act, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. It is probably the least favorable place to take money. There's one provision we'll talk to in a minute about that, but I will tell you, when you're going through the things that you need to calculate with your new unemployment, one of them is cash flow. You need to do a cash flow. You can do it on a yellow pad, you can do it with your advisor, but you need to track your cash flow for the year and you need to plan on a little bit of unemployment time. Now, if you're a lucky, smart, and popular person, maybe you're instantly reemployed. We haven't seen that too much. We have actually seen the reemployment take 3, 6, 7 months, okay? So you need to do a cash flow plan. Now, if you were a smart financial listener, it means you had an emergency fund set aside. Guess what? You made an emergency fund for a rainy day and it's pouring. So this is the time to use that emergency fund to bridge you and not rip money out of your 401k and pay a penalty. So you're going to have unemployment. Maybe you'll have severance. Maybe you'll have your emergency fund. Those are the top 3 places to get money for cash flow planning. So you've got your health insurance to worry about. Don't worry about it. Execute a COBRA. You've got your severance package to figure out. You've got unemployment to figure out. You've got taxes to figure out, right? That's a big one. And number 5, you have your cash flow plan that you need to do to make sure where you're going to get the money for the next few months. Now, let's talk about another thing called 72T. When you get down to number 6 and you roll over your 401k plan to an IRA, the next step at the end of your 6-month cash flow period that you might have to execute is something called a 72T. What does that mean? 72T is the only way you can get money out of your 401k or your IRA prior to 59.5 without paying a penalty. It's called substantially equal periodic payments. It's complicated enough that you should do it with your financial advisor again. And if you need, and you can't get reemployed, and you need a supplement, you may have to execute a thing called a 72T program, which starts taking payments out of your 401k that are non-penalized. You will pay income taxes, but no 10% tax penalty. There's a lot of rules and regulations to 72T, but it's something you need to consider if you need to get through. And then the last thing is, if you're laid off and you're looking for reemployment, I want to encourage you strongly to look at jobs where you have more financial security going forward than the place that you just worked at. Take this time in your life to look at places that have traditional pension plans. Of the Fortune 1000 companies, 35% of them still have a traditional pension plan you don't pay a dime into, okay? Second thing is, of the Fortune 1000 companies going forward, look seriously at the ones that have public stock purchase options. That means you get to buy their stock at 15% off and immediately sell it. That's a bargain. Also, stock option programs. So look this time at your reemployment as a wealth building opportunity. to get into a Fortune 1000 company that's got great health benefits, great disability benefits, great life benefits, stock options, stock purchase programs. Now is the time to reevaluate because you want to work more for wealth building than just for the paycheck. So when you're looking at a job right now, look at it as a wealth building tool. In my third book that's coming out this summer on smart financial wealth building, you can see that by picking the right employment situation, you can retire wealthy, right? If you pick the right employment situation this time around. So I'm Paul Morrow, and this is Smart Financial Lifestyles, and this is just part of the art of being smart. And I'll see you again next time on Smart Financial.